Hello students, myself Gopinath Bonik, and today we are going to start the human physiology portion here. And you know that human physiology is very important for the NEET exam, because a huge amount of questions are coming from here. Okay, we may expect around 12 to 13 questions from the human physiology portion, which belongs to the class 11 and here we have to learn about 7 different chapters. Okay, and the first chapter of the human physiology is what? First chapter of the human physiology is digestion and absorption. Okay, which we are going to start today. Digestion and absorption. Okay, now the digestion and absorption, what is it? Why is it required? Okay, digestion and absorption, it is required for every other purpose of the life. Now how it is required for the every other purpose of the life? Now if I have to move, then why it is required the digestion and absorption? If I have to go somewhere, why it is required the digestion and absorption? Why, if I have to talk someone, then why it is required digestion and absorption? Okay, if I am singing, I am learning something, okay, at that moment, why it is required digestion and absorption? All of you know the answer, because the digestion and absorption, it is helping you to get the nutrients, okay, the nutrients in the simple form, okay, or the simplest form, okay, which the body can utilize, okay, and can generate energy from it, or can store it for different functions, okay, like for the development of the body, or it can utilize it for the protection of the body from different disease causing substances. Okay, now so for all these purposes the body needs nutrients. Okay, now different kinds of nutrients the body needs, starting from the carbohydrate, then protein, fat, vitamins, all these, okay, are required. Okay, now among those nutrients, some nutrients are required for getting energy, some are required for development, some are required for protection of the body. Okay, some are performing both the functions. Okay, so more than one functions. Okay, so like this way the nutrients are very important for us for performing different functions. Okay, now if the nutrients are very important for us, if the nutrient is required for performing different functions, like if I have to go somewhere, I need energy for the movement. Okay, if I don't have the energy, I can move. So for that, what I need? I need the nutrients which will provide me the energy, right? If I have to talk someone, if I have to learn something, then what do I need? We need energy. Okay, so like this way, for every other function, so the nutrients are required. For if I have to protect myself from different disease causing substances, from different microbes, so from that point also we need the what? We need the nutrients to protect our body from these different kinds of microbes. Okay, to protect our body from these different kinds of microbes. Okay, so for all these purposes, the nutrients are required in our body in the simplest form. But is it possible to get the nutrients every time in the simplest form? Is it so easy? Today, if I am taking Glucon-D, okay, so at that moment within the Glucon-D, I'll get the glucose in the simplest form. That's why many times whenever we are very much tired, at that moment we try to take the Glucon-D, because the Glucon-D can provide you the instant energy. How? Because within Glucon-D, glucose is present in the simplest form, right? But it is not so for every other cases. If you see your staple food, if you see the rice, if you see the wheat, okay, the chapati from where you are making, okay, so all this roti, chapati, okay, or you take the name of rice, okay, all these are also containing carbohydrates like the glucose. Okay, but within this the glucose are not present in the simplest form like the glucon D. Glucon D today can give you instant energy. What is the reason behind it? Because the glucon D contains glucose, the simplest form of the carbohydrate, we know, okay? But if you compare the glucon D with your staple food, like you are comparing it with the rice thing, or you are comparing with wheat or chapati, okay? So at that moment, what is going to happen? Now the rice can also give you energy, okay? Rice can also provide you energy because it is also containing a huge amount of energy bearing substances, nutrients. What is that? That is the carbohydrate only. But this carbohydrate can't give you the instant energy like here. Okay? Why? Because here also we are getting glucose, but the glucose within rice is present in the polymerized form. Okay? In the large form, many glucose like this. This is a glucose, then again a glucose, then again a glucose, like this, a long chain, okay? Around 500, 600, 700, 1000 glucose have made a polymerized form. And that polymerized form is present here within the rice. So, unlike glucon D, here the glucose are present in the polymerized form. So as the glucoses are not free over here, that's why the glucose can't be absorbed then and there within the body. Whenever you are taking the rice, then and there, the glucose can't be, the glucose can't be absorbed then and there. So what the body requires? The body requires to break it down. Body requires to digest it, okay? And then after the digestion only, the glucose in the free form will be available within our body, okay, or within our digestive system, and from there only the absorption of free glucose is possible then, okay. So if we have to get the glucose from the rice, then we have to wait for the digestion. But if we have to take a glucose instantly, okay, then we can take the glucon D, because here the glucose is present in the free form, okay, clear? So like this, like rice, many other foods what we are taking, in that the carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, along with that nucleic acids, all these are present, okay. And these things are the polymerized form. These things are coming inside our body in the polymerized form mostly, okay. And whenever it is coming within the body in the polymerized form, then they need to be broken down first into the simplest nutrient, like here, okay, as I have shown you. So here the glucose will be free after the digestion, okay, glucose will be free. So like that, from the protein, from the lipid, from the nucleic acids, their constituents, okay, will be free after the digestion, okay. And that's why the digestion is very much required inside the body. And once the digestion is done inside the body in a particular system, okay, that system is known as digestive system, okay. And within the digestive system, once the digestion is done, then those simple nutrients can easily be absorbed by the body, okay, clear? So about that digestive system, about the digestion, about the absorption after that, we have to learn in this chapter, okay, clear? So today we are going to start with a system which is involved with the digestion and the absorption of our body, and that system is known as, you know, it is called as digestive system, or also called as gastrointestinal system, okay. So the system which is related with the digestion is called as digestive system, right? And it is also called as what? It is also called as gastrointestinal system. Okay. So digestive system or the gastrointestinal system. Okay. Now, by what it is made of? So first of all, the digestive system or the gastrointestinal system. Here, the digestive system is containing one term, that is system. Now by what our organ system is made of? So whenever we are talking about any organ system, we always have to keep in mind that organ system is definitely made of different organs, right? And now our organ is made of what? You know, our organ is made of different kinds of tissues. And by what the tissues are made of? Now different types of some kinds of cells when come together to perform a function, that is making one tissue, right? So the cells together are making the tissues. Okay, so cells together making same kind of cells which are performing same kind of function. They are coming together to make a tissue. Different kinds of tissues are coming together to make an organ. Okay, an organ. And different organs are coming together to make a organ system. Okay, so our digestive system is also an organ system. Okay, so what it is also made of different organs. Okay, now by which organs it is made of, that is our concern. Okay, so next we have to learn by which organs the digestive system is made of. Now remember, ultimately different organ systems are making our body. The whole body is made of what? Different organ system. Okay, done. Now within the body, like the digestive system, different other systems are also present, you know, like the respiratory system, like the nervous system, like the endocrine system, like the reproductive system. So all these systems are together are making what? These systems are together making the body. Okay, clear? So here our concern is about the digestive system only. Okay, clear? So next we are going to learn about the digestive system here. Now one thing we have to keep in mind at the very beginning, that the digestive system is primarily made of two different parts. Okay, primarily made of how many parts? Two different parts. So now the question is, what are those? Okay, so the portions the digestive system is made of two different parts primarily, and what are those? The first one is alimentary canal. Alimentary canal. Okay, done. And the second one is what? The second one is the digestive glands. So alimentary canal and the digestive glands together are making our digestive system. Okay, so first of all we are starting with the alimentary canal. Okay, now from where it is starting? It is starting from the opening of our oral cavity. Okay, so that means from the lips region. Okay, so here let me draw. So this is the nose, and this is the mouth. Now what it is the oral cavity, stool. Okay, like this. So this is the structure of whole alimentary canal. Okay, clear? This is the structure of what? This is the structure of whole alimentary canal. Okay, now in this whole alimentary canal, what we have got, the whole alimentary canal, if you see, it is starting from the lips. Okay, at the beginning of the oral cavity, and then After the lips, here we should write the oral cavity. This one is oral cavity. Now at the end of the oral cavity, at the end of the oral cavity, the region which is present, it is called as the pharynx region. Okay. Now from the pharynx, a pipe has come down, okay, just behind of the windpipe. Okay, here in front of this pipe, you can see another pipe is present. This pipe is nothing but the windpipe through which air is going during the time of a breathing process. Okay, now just behind of the windpipe, this another pipe is present. Okay, and this pipe is known as what? This is known as foot pipe, or it is also called as what? It is also called as esophagus. Okay, what is the other name of it? It is also known as esophagus. Now at the end of the esophagus, we are getting a J-shaped pouch-like structure, and that pouch-like structure is what all of you know. It's known as stomach. Okay, next, from the stomach you can see a small diameter pipe has come down and which has twisted many times. Okay, and it is actually present within the abdominal cavity. Okay, the cavity which is present just below the diaphragm. You know that the diaphragm is dividing the internal cavity into two parts. The upper part is known as the thoracic cavity, and the lower part of the diaphragm is known as abdominal cavity. And below the abdominal cavity, you know, there is pelvic cavity. Okay, clear? So here in the abdominal cavity, it has twisted many times. Okay, clear? And what is the name of this small diameter twisted structure? This was known as the small intestine. It is also called, it is known as what? It is known as small intestine. Now, see, the small intestine is marching with another pipe which has a larger diameter. Okay, and remember, this is the right side. If I am standing like this way, this should be my right side and this should be my left side. Okay, so remember that the small intestine is merging with this larger diameter pipe at the right side of the body, at the right side of the abdomen. Okay, clear? So here it is merging with a large diameter pipe, and this large diameter pipe is known as what? This large diameter pipe is known as large intestine. It is called as large intestine. Okay, now at the end of the large intestine we can get a storage area. Okay, and this storage area is known as a rectum. Okay, what is the name for it? It is called as rectum. And at the end of the rectum we get a pipe-like structure which is known as the anal canal. Okay, and the end of it is anus. Okay, the pore which is present over here, that is anus. Okay, so see, this is the structure of the whole alimentary canal we have in our body. Okay, now what's the length of it? Its length is near about 30 feet. Okay, in the extended form. In the extended form, its length is near about 30 feet. Okay, means in respect of the average height of Indian people, okay, its height is almost 5 times more. Okay, here the average height is of the Indian people is what? It's near about 5.8 or 5.9 or 6. Okay, like that. Okay, so in respect of that, if you go, it's near about 5 times of that. Okay, clear? But it's remaining there within the body, within the abdominal cavity mostly. Okay, because of what? Because it's present there in the coiled form. Okay, clear? So that's why it is there. Okay, now the next one is the digestive glands. Now here we have to keep in mind that along with this whole canal structure, this whole alimentary canal is Definitely it's a single pipe, you can understand it, okay? And here different organs have merged to make this structure, starting from the oral cavity, then here you can get the esophagus region, then you will get the stomach, you get the small intestine, you get the large intestine, okay? So these structures has merged together to make a single alimentary canal, okay? So here we can see the organ system is made of different organs, okay? Now in these organ systems, along with these organs, different glands are also included, okay? Now what are those glands? So first of all, within the digestive gland, we'll take the name of salivary gland. The first gland we should take in name, that is salivary gland, okay? Salivary gland, it is included with the oral cavity, okay? It is included with what? It is included with the oral cavity, okay? Clear? Next, after the salivary gland, the next gland I should take the name, that is the liver. Remember, all these glands, all these structures we'll learn in details, okay, after this. So primarily we are getting just the intro of all this structure, okay? So the next gland is liver, and remember the liver is the largest gland of the body, okay? Clear? So to which it is connected? Remember, the liver is connected, liver is present at the right side, at the right upper abdominal region, okay? At the right upper abdominal region. Over here, okay? And it is connected to what? It is connected to the small intestine, remember, okay? Acha. So here the liver is connected to what? It is connected to the small intestine, okay? Now the last gland we should keep in mind, that is the pancreas, okay? Now the pancreas, where it is present? It is present in this cavity region of the first portion of small intestine. Here a small cavity has been formed here within this C shape, okay? Here we are getting the small intestine is, the pancreas is present, okay? So the pancreas is present over here, okay? Now from the pancreas also a pipe has come, and which is connected directly to the pipe which is coming from the liver also, okay? So these two pipes have been connected, and together their secretions are coming inside the small intestine. So these are the three glands which are included with our digestive system, okay? So this is the primary idea about the whole system. Next we have to learn all these systems, all these organs and glands in details, okay? So whenever we are starting the alimentary canal, at the very beginning we are getting the oral cavity, you can see from here. So first of all, the cavity which we are getting, that is called as oral cavity, okay? Now inside the oral cavity we will get basically two different cavities, okay? Here if I draw separately, this is the oral cavity. Now this oral cavity is lined by what? This oral cavity in frontal side, it is lined by the lips, okay? On the right and left side it is lined by the cheeks, and on the upper side it is lined by the roof region, which is called as the palate region, okay? And here below a floor is present, okay? Clear? Now here the whole cavity, the whole oral cavity has two the whole oral cavity can be divided into two different cavities. Okay, now what are those two cavities? Let's see. So here, see, we'll get a small cavity between the teeth lining. Think this is the teeth lining. Okay, now between the teeth lining and the cheek region. Okay, now this is the cheek region. In between, you can see in between your teeth and the cheek region, or in between your teeth and the lip region, here a small cavity is present. Okay, so over this particular area, over this particular area. Okay, now what is the name for it? What is the name of this small cavity which is present between the teeth lining and the cheek region or the lip region? The small cavity is known as vestibular cavity. What it is called? It is called as vestibular cavity. Okay, done. And after this, within the teeth lining, okay, within the teeth lining where the tongue is present, within the teeth lining, you know the tongue is present. Okay, so within the teeth lining, the region which is present, the cavity which is present, that is called as what? That is called as the buccal cavity. Okay, what it is called? It is called as buccal cavity. Okay, done. Now the buccal cavity is the region where the tongue is present, remember, clear? And it is the cavity which is functional. Okay, vestibular cavity, it is not functional. We are not utilizing this cavity for the chewing functions and all that. Okay, that's why this is known, the name has been given vestibule. Okay, or vestibular structure. Okay, so this is vestibular cavity, but the buccal cavity is functional. Okay, now the buccal cavity at the roof region of the buccal cavity, what we are getting at the roof region of the buccal cavity here. Okay, here at the roof region, this is the roof region. I should draw the teeth like this way over here. Okay, so I'm just rubbing this portion. Okay, so think this is the roof region. Okay, now this is the roof region. Okay, now here in the roof region, okay, what is present in the roof region? At the roof region, the bones which are present, that is known as palatine bone. Okay, clear? And the roof region is known as the palate region. Okay, now here at the palate region, okay, the frontal portion is very much hard. Means this portion is very much hard. So this portion is very much hard, and that's why this frontal portion of the palate is called as a hard palate. What it is called? It is called as hard palate. Okay, and the posterior portion, if you see the posterior portion of the roof or the posterior portion of the palate, okay, now the posterior portion of the palate is soft. That's why this posterior portion is known as soft palate. Okay, done. Now at the end of the soft palate here, okay, we can see a flappy structure is hanging. Okay, now what is the name of this flappy structure which is hanging from the end of the soft palate? Okay, near the throat region. If you open your mouth, you can see this thing is hanging from the end of your oral cavity or the buccal cavity. Now what is the name for it? This portion, this flappy structure, is known as the uvula. Okay, what it is called? It is called as uvula. Okay, clear? So at the roof region, we are getting these structures. Okay, first of all, hard palate, then behind of it, we are getting the soft palate, then we are getting the uvula region. Okay, clear? So next, we have to learn about the other structures which are present in the buccal cavity. Now, in the buccal cavity, Now in the buccal cavity, we can get the teeth lying, but that means the teeth is present inside the buccal cavity. Actually, the buccal cavity is lined by the teeth, right? So next we have to learn about the teeth. And along with the teeth, at the floor region, we are getting one more structure in the buccal cavity, and that floor region structure is known as what? That floor region structure is known as tongue. Okay, so first of all, we'll start to learn with the teeth, and then we'll learn about the tongue over here. Okay, now remember always that inside the mouth, two types of digestions are going on, means two types of breakdown is going on. Okay, now what are those two types of digestions which are going on inside the mouth? One is physical digestion. Okay, so the first type of digestion which is going on over here, okay, within the buccal cavity, that is called as what? That is called as the physical digestion. Okay, done. And along with the physical digestion, the one more type of digestion is going on over here, that is called as what? That is called as chemical digestion. Now what about the physical digestion and what about the chemical digestion here? Physical digestion, okay, means physically or mechanically the digestion is going on over here. Now how the mechanically, so how is it possible to run the mechanical digestion or physical digestion inside the oral cavity? Definitely it's possible because we have teeth. Okay, so by using the teeth we can break down the food, you know. So after taking the food, first of all we are breaking it down inside the mouth, right? And after that only we are swallowing it, right? So first of all, the food should go through the physical digestion within the buccal cavity, within the oral cavity. Okay, and after that only within the oral cavity the chemical digestion will be done. Okay, and the chemical digestion, what is responsible for the chemical digestion? The saliva is responsible. Okay, so chemical digestion is done by saliva, whereas the physical digestion is done by what? The physical digestion is done by teeth. Now first of all we'll learn about the teeth, okay, then we'll learn about the tongue, and at the end we'll learn about the saliva secreting structure that is known as the salivary gland. Okay, done. So first we are starting with the teeth. In an adult human being, how many teeth are present? All of you know, 32, right? So 32 teeth are there in an adult human being. Okay, clear? Now among these 32, 16 is present in the upper jaw, and rest 16 is present in the lower jaw. Okay, now upper jaw means what? It is the maxillary bone. Okay, it's the maxillary bone, and lower jaw means it is the mandibular bone. Okay, clear? So here at the upper jaw 16 and lower jaw 16 teeth are present. Okay, teeth are present. Now from the middle, if we want to see only the one side, okay, means think I am observing the right lower side. Okay, sorry, this should be the right side. So the right lower side. Okay, if I want to see from the middle, then what type of teeth I may get? So if I start from the middle, so first of all the first two teeth will get those have sharp, okay, sharp end which is help which is helping to cut anything, okay, or which is working like a scissor, okay. So here in front, if you see, if it is the right side, okay, so in right side you are getting two teeth like this, okay, and these teeth are used to cut anything, okay, and these are working as the scissor, okay. Like this, if you go to the left side also, in the left side also you will get the same type, okay, two. So same two teeth will get in the left side also, okay. So this is the left side, this is the right side, okay, clear? Definitely I'm drawing the lower portion, okay. Now these teeth which are helping to cut anything or working as the scissor, okay, like today if we are taking some bread or we are taking some burger, which teeth we are using? We are using the frontal teeth, right? The frontal teeth means this kind of teeth. And what is the function of these teeth? These teeth are working as the scissor to cut those burger or to cut those bread, okay, clear? Now what is the name of these teeth? These teeth are known as incisor, okay. These are working as the scissor, okay. So this first kind of teeth are known as incisor. So the incisor teeth, how many? On one side we are getting two, okay, clear? How many incisor we are getting? Two. So in short, I am writing over here I is 2, okay. Next, after the incisor, here we will get one teeth that has sharp pointed end. Sharp pointed end, okay, on both the side, only one teeth, okay. And these teeth are known as what? These are known as canine teeth, okay. What is the name? These teeth are known as canine teeth, okay. And what is the function of these teeth? These teeth are helping to tear anything. Today, if we are having any kind of meat, okay, so we need to tear it. And definitely at that moment, this kind of teeth are helping, okay. They are helping to tear the meat at that moment, okay. So canine teeth are used to tear the food substances, okay. So the next one is canine and its number is only 1, okay, clear? After the canine teeth, we'll get some teeth which has a upper cusp region, okay, upper flat ending, and in between they have a cusp region, okay. So like this. So how many teeth like this we will get on each side? 2. How many we are getting like this? 2, okay. And see, they have a flat ending, okay. As they are flat, they have the flat ending, they are helping to smash the food, okay. After cutting the food or after tearing the food, next what we need? Next we need to chew the food, okay. We need to grind the food or we need to smash the food, and that function is done by these teeth, and these are known as premolar teeth, okay. Premolar teeth. And how many are there? 2, okay, clear? And at the end we'll get 3 more teeth with the larger surface area in respect of the premolar teeth, okay. So like these 3 teeth we'll get over here, okay. And each of them has a larger surface area, and they are also performing the same kind of function. They are also helping to smash the food or to grind the food, okay. Now what is the name of these last 3 teeth? These 3 teeth are known as molar teeth, okay. So molar, the number of molar teeth is 3 on each side, okay, clear? Now that's why after taking the food, as the premolar and the molar teeth are utilized to chew it, okay, or to grind it or to smash it, okay, that's why always after taking the food you will notice you chew the food on one side, either on right side or on left side, okay. You never chew your food by using your frontal teeth, means the incisor teeth or the canine teeth, okay. Only in the old ages, okay, when the teeth has gone, okay, teeth have gone, at that moment, think the molar, premolar have gone, okay, at that moment only, at the old ages, people generally utilize the front teeth to chew the food, okay, but otherwise you use this premolar and the molar teeth to chew the food, okay, clear? So on the right lower side, we have got how many teeth? In the right lower side, we have got 8 teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Here also, if we count 2, 1, 3, and 2, 5, and 3, 8. Okay. So total 8 teeth are there here. Okay. And in the left side, left lower side also, accordingly, here also we'll get the 8 teeth. Okay. In the same way, on the upper jaw also, we'll get the 8 teeth on right side and 8 teeth on left side. So altogether, there are 32 teeth. Okay, clear? Now, if it is asked to write the dental formula of the human being, okay, so what's that? So here, according to the dental formula, if you see, then the incisor on the right side, think the incisor on right side, 2 at the upper direction, 2 on the upper jaw and 2 on the lower jaw, okay. Canine 1 and 1 on upper jaw and lower jaw. Premolar 1, 2 and 2 on the upper jaw and lower jaw, and molar 3 and 3 on the upper jaw and lower jaw, okay. So it's all together on one side 16 teeth into 2, that is equals to 32 teeth we have. Okay, clear? Now this is the dental formula of the adult human being. Okay, but you know, in our whole lifespan, the teeth comes twice. Okay, how many times? Teeth comes twice. Okay, so one is milk teeth or deciduous teeth, and the second one is what? The second one is permanent teeth. Okay, now the deciduous teeth comes first in the lifespan. Okay, and after a certain time, around starting from 7, 8, 9, 10, at this age, this kind of teeth start to be gone. Okay, and at that point, in replacement of those teeth, we are getting the permanent teeth. Okay, clear? So deciduous teeth are coming first, and later on the teeth which is coming, that is called as what? That is called as permanent teeth. So in our lifespan, how many times the teeth are coming? 2 times. Okay, so teeth are coming 2 times, and we have in our lifespan 2 kinds of teeth. So one is deciduous teeth, or it is called as milk teeth. Okay, and the second one is permanent teeth. Okay, which is remaining for the rest portion of life. Okay, now as we have the teeth, as we get the teeth twice in our whole lifespan, that's why we also called as a diphyodont. What? We are also called as diphyodont. Okay, so diphyodont. So in our whole lifespan, we are getting the teeth twice. One is milk teeth or deciduous teeth, and the second one is permanent teeth. As we are getting the teeth twice in our whole lifespan, that's why we are also called as a diphyodont. Okay, clear? Now after this, what we have to know? we have seen the dental formula in case of permanent teeth. Okay, in case of permanent teeth, what will be the dental formula that we have seen? Okay, clear? But what will be the dental formula in case of milk teeth? That we have not seen. In case of milk teeth also, we have total 32 teeth. Is it so? That a child who is of 4 or 5 years old, okay, 6 years old, okay, that child also has the same number of teeth, 32. No, the child doesn't have the 32 teeth. Okay, instead of that, the child has how many teeth? The child has 20 teeth only. Okay, instead of 32, they have only 20 teeth. Now, how is it possible? Because the child doesn't have the premolar teeth. So, premolar teeth they don't have. Okay, clear? And molar teeth they have only 2. They have only 2. Okay, clear? So, now count on one side it is 2 plus 2, 4, and here 2, 6, and 2 plus 2, 4. 6 plus 4, 10. So on one side it is 10, it's twice means 20. Okay, so that's why the child has only the 20 teeth. Now, one question it is asked in the exam that which teeth the human has as the monophyodont nature. Okay, remember we have the monophyodont teeth also. Now, what are those monophyodont teeth? Here you can see the premolar teeth are absent in the babies. Okay, in the childhood, the premolar teeth are absent. So, as the premolar teeth are absent in the childhood, and as it is coming once in whole lifespan, that's why this kind of teeth will be called as a monophyodont teeth. Okay, so premolar teeth is the monophyodont teeth. Okay, along with that, one more point we should keep in mind. What is that? That is the molar teeth. In case of molar teeth also, what we can see, the adulthood means in case of permanent teeth, we are getting 3 molar teeth, right? Here also 3 and here also 3, okay? But here in case of childhood, we are getting only 2 molar teeth, okay? 2 here and 2 here. So 1 molar teeth is coming only once in whole lifespan. And that molar teeth is called as monophyodont teeth, okay? So 1 molar teeth is monophyodont, not all the molar teeth, only 1, okay? So only 1 molar teeth is called as monophyodont teeth, and all the premolar teeth are called as what? Monophyodont teeth, okay? And the rest teeth are called as diphyodont teeth, okay? Clear? So this is all about the different types of teeth, okay? Now we have to learn about the structure of teeth, okay? So next we are going to learn about the structure of teeth, okay? So next we are going to learn about what? Next we are going to learn about the structure of the teeth, okay? Now whenever we are seeing or when we are observing the structure of the teeth, we are getting different layers of layers in it, okay? Now what are those different layers? At the very top region, okay, we are getting the enamel, okay? This enamel is covering another portion. That portion on which the enamel is present, this portion is called as what? This portion is called as dentine. What it is called? It is called as dentine. Okay, clear? Now, here also towards the inner side, we can see the dentine is present. Okay, this is also dentine. Okay, but in between we get a cavity region in which we are getting a cavity region in which the soft tissue, means the connective tissue along with the blood supply and the nerve supply is present here. Okay, now what is the name of this cavity region? Actually not cavity, it's filled up of the collagen fiber along with this nerve and the blood vessels. Okay, so what is the name for this region which is present within the dentine? This region is called as the pulp. Okay, it is called as dental pulp. It is called as dental pulp. Okay, now within the gingiva, what we can see, surrounding the dentine, another hard tissue is present, and that hard tissue is known as cementum. What is it called? It is called as cementum. Okay, clear? So these are the four main different parts of the teeth. Okay, now here from the top to below, if we go, okay, then the whole teeth can be divided into three different regions. Okay, now what are those three different regions? One portion of the teeth which is present above the gingiva, okay, that portion is called as the crown region. Okay, what it is called? It is called as the crown region. So here this should be called as the crown region. Okay, crown region. Now at one point we can see the crown is entering into the gingiva. Okay, and this area should be called as what? This should be called as the neck region. Okay, what is it called? It is called as neck region. And one region of the teeth, we can see it has been embedded within the gingiva, okay, within the jaw. Okay, and that portion of the teeth is called as what? That portion of the teeth means this portion, definitely I'm talking about, and this portion is called as what? This portion is called as root. So like this way we have got the three different portions of the teeth from the top to below. If we go, so first of all we are getting the crown region, okay, then we are getting a neck region, and at the end we are getting a root region. Okay, root, that means like the plant root, as the plant root is present within the soil, like that it is present within the gingiva, okay, or within the what? Within the jaw. So as because of that, as our teeth, okay, are embedded within the jaw, that's why it is also called, we are also called as thecodont. Okay, why? Because our teeth is embedded within the jaw, so we are also called as what? We are also called as thecodont. Thecodont. Done. After this, what? So the teeth has been embedded into the gingiva or within the jaw. Okay, clear? Now here we have learned about four different layers. Okay, now by what these four different layers are made of? First of all, the enamel. Okay, the enamel portion is the hardest portion of the body. Okay, remember, the enamel portion is the hardest portion of the body, and it is made of calcium phosphate. Okay, what it is? It is made of calcium phosphate. Whenever the teeth is coming out, at that moment the enamel forming cells, okay, that is known as the ameloblast. Okay, what is the cell is making the enamel? The enamel is made of ameloblast cell. Okay, remember, the ameloblast cells are making the enamel. Okay, so the ameloblast cells are making the enamel. Okay, and as I told you, during the time of teeth formation, the ameloblast cells will blast. Okay, and it is making the hardest structure of the body, that is enamel. Okay, and in the completely developed teeth, we are not getting the ameloblast. As I told you, during the time of a teeth formation only, they are blasting, okay, and the inner components are coming outside, okay, and making this enamel portion. That's why if this enamel portion get broken down, sometimes we are taking chocolates and after that we are not going to brush our teeth, okay. So what is happening? The chocolate is remaining over there, is within the teeth, and the microbes are developing over there. They're trying to take the nutrients from that chocolate, okay. And whenever they are doing that, at that moment they are secreting the acids, okay. And as because of the acids, the enamel will be broken with time, okay. And as the enamel is not containing any cell right now, so this portion is not going to be replenished by any way. So if the enamel has gone once, then it has gone, okay. Nothing is there to replenish it, okay, clear? So the ameloblast cells are present, the ameloblast cells are forming the enamel portion, clear? Done. Next, after the enamel, the next portion which we are getting, that is the dentine, okay. Now the dentine portion is also very hard in nature, okay. It is not like hard like the enamel because it is containing the living cells within it, okay. That's why it is not like hard like the enamel, okay. As enamel is made of only calcium phosphate, okay. It has a huge amount of calcium phosphate crystals we are getting over there. But here, along with the calcium phosphate, in the dentine region, we are getting the cells also which are forming the layer. And which cell is making the dentine region? The dentine region is made of, remember, the dentine region is made of odontoblast cell, okay. So let me write over here. So the odontoblast cell, odontoblast cells are making what? The odontoblast cells are making the dentine region. Okay, clear? So next we have learned about the dentine region, okay. Just at the periphery of the dentine region, here a region is present that is known as cementum, which helps to bind the teeth with the jaw, okay, or with the gingiva region, okay. Here, now the cementum region, this is also hard, okay. This is working like the cement, okay. So this cementum region is made of what? It is also hard, remember, it is also very much hard. And by what it is made of? By which cell it is made of? The cementum is made of cementocyte, okay. By what it is made of? It is made of cementocyte. Clear? Done? So by this speed, the different layers have been formed, okay. Now in between I told you that here within the dentine region we are getting a soft tissue portion that is called as the dental pulp, okay. And this dental pulp has a canal-like structure within the root region, okay. Here you can see a canal-like structure and within the root region is present for the dental pulp, okay. And this canal-like structure of the dental pulp has a name. What is the name for it? This canal-like structure, this canal, okay. Here a canal-like structure. What we are getting in the root region, okay. Here also on this side, okay. So see here that cannular structure, okay. And what is the name for it? Definitely it should be called as root canal. What it is called? It is called as root canal, okay. Done. Now the root canal towards the gingiva side, it has a opening, an orifice, okay, through which the nerve fiber or the blood vessels are coming inside. Think these are the blood vessels, okay. This is the nerve fiber, okay. So these nerve fibers, blood vessels, all has come inside through this pore, okay. Now what is the name for this pore through which the blood vessels or the nerve fibers are coming inside the pulp. These pores are known as apical foramen, okay, apical foramen. And through this foramen only the nerve fibers or the blood vessels can come inside, okay, clear? And now remember here, the nerve fiber, the nerve connection or the blood connection is present where it is the in the pulp region only. Sorry, it is where it is present inside the pulp region only. So till that time, because of a tooth decay, okay, because of a tooth decay, till that time the pulp region is not open, okay. Till that moment we will not feel any pain. Because here you can understand, here in the enamel region, no nerve fiber is present, okay, no blood vessel is present, okay. Here same for the dentine region also, okay. Here in the pulp region we are getting the nerve fibers, we are getting the blood vessels, okay. So once this pulp region is open because of the tooth decay, okay, at that moment only we will feel the pain. Before that we will not feel any pain, okay, clear? So we have to take the precautions. Before that only we can't allow it to decay the enamel layer, we can't allow the to decay the dentine layer, okay. So before that only we have to take precaution, otherwise this area will be open. Once this area is open, they will feel a lot of pain, okay. Whenever we are taking a food or we are taking the water inside, okay, cold water, so at that moment they will feel a lot of pain over here, okay, yeah. So that's why we need to take precautions at the enamel level only, okay, clear? So before reaching the dentine, okay, clear? Achha, now this whole teeth along with cementum is connected with the jaw by some ligament. By the jaw to the jaw region, the whole teeth along with the cementum is connected by some ligament, okay. Now what is the name of that ligament which is connecting the whole teeth along with cementum to the jaw region, okay. So the name for this ligament, here I have showed it as the red fibers like this, okay. So what is the name for these ligaments? These ligaments are known as periodontal ligament, okay, means at the periphery of dental, means teeth, okay. So at the periodontal ligament it should be called, okay. Done. So by this ligament only it is connected, the tooth is connected to the jaw region, okay, clear? And along with this is the whole structure of our teeth, okay, clear? Next, so after the teeth we should learn about the tongue, okay. And you know the tongue is a voluntary structure. Tongue is a voluntary structure which is made of voluntary muscle surrounded by the epithelial cell layer, okay. Now here the tongue is utilized to talk, the tongue is utilized to feel the food taste sensation, okay. Now for feeling the taste sensation on the tongue we are getting different taste parts which are present in the papillae, okay, clear? Now what type of papillae we are getting on the tongue? Actually we are getting 4 different types of papillae, okay. Now what are those? Towards the end of the tongue we'll get some larger papillae structure, okay, and these papillae are containing around 100 to 200 taste buds, okay. Each papillae is containing 100 to 200 taste buds, okay. So these papillae are containing 100 to 200 taste buds, okay, clear? Now the taste buds are utilized for taking the taste, you know that, okay, clear? And now how many of them are present here? Around 10 to 12, okay? How many? How many are there? Around 10 to 12, okay? And this is the largest papillae we have in on our tongue, okay, clear? What is the name for this largest papillae? What is the name of this largest papillae? This largest papillae, which is made a reverse V-like shape, that is called as circumvallate papillae. What it is called? Circumvallate papillae. Okay, clear? Now, at the middle we will get a sulcus region, okay, clear? Now here, the first two-third portion, at the first two-third portion, we'll get another kind of papillae which is bearing around 10 to 12 taste buds, okay, which is bearing around 10 to 12 taste buds, okay. These papillae are called as what? And in the middle region also it is present. So, what is the name for these taste buds? These taste buds, sorry, what is the name for these papillae which are containing 10 to 12 taste buds? These are known as fungiform papillae. Why it is called as fungiform papillae? Because within the microscopic, when you will see the microscopic structure, then it will look like a fungus, okay? So, it is called as fungiform papillae, okay? Done. Now, within the fungiform papillae, around how many? Around 10 to 12 taste buds are present, okay? Clear? Done. Next, here at the surrounding region, we are getting another kind of a papillae throughout the tongue, okay? On the lateral side also. What is the name for this papillae? This is known as filiform papillae. What it is called? Filiform papillae. And one thing we should keep in mind, that filiform papillae is devoid of what? It is devoid of any kind of taste buds, okay? So taste buds are absent in the filiform papillae. We should keep it in mind, okay? So that is about the filiform papillae. Now, toward the back side, at the posterior region, laterally, we are getting another kind of papillae which is called as a foliate papillae. What it is called? It is called as foliate papillae. Now, what is the function of foliate papillae? Foliate papillae also contains some taste buds, okay, and it's also contain near about 100 taste buds in each, okay, and helps to take the tastes, okay, clear? Now, these are the locations for the different taste bud containing papillae and the filiform papillae which is not containing any taste buds, okay, and how many papillae, how many kind of papillae we have got over here? Total 4 kinds of papillae. Starting from circumvallate papillae, then we have got the fungiform papillae, then filiform papillae, and at the end we have seen the foliate papillae. Okay, clear? So, as because of these papillae, the food can be tasted by the tongue. Okay, but tongue can also help the food to be mixed with the saliva. Okay, and to swallow it. Okay, so one more function of the tongue is to mix the food with saliva and to swallow it, okay? Now, towards the end of the tongue, okay? One more point we should keep in mind, that this tongue is connected to the floor of the mouth by a membranous structure that is called as frenulum. What it is called? It is called as frenulum, okay? Clear? Now, towards the end of the tongue, okay, or towards the end of the oral cavity, we are getting, means over this region I'm talking, okay. So we are getting a ring-like structure which is made of immunity giving tonsils. Okay, immunity giving tonsils. Okay, now here this ring-like structure is made of what? This ring-like structure is made of 4 different types of tonsils. Okay, 4 different types of tonsils. Okay, at the very lower portion, where the tongue is adhered, okay, at that portion on both sides, we are getting the lingual tonsil. Okay, lingual tonsil. Okay, clear? Now, means over this region, you can understand over here the tongue is adhered. Okay, so over here the lingual tonsil is present on both the sides. Okay, clear? Done. Now just above it, where the palate, okay, is merging or the palate is ending, at that point we are getting another kind of papillae, and that papillae is known as a palatine papillae. Okay, so that is palatine papillae. Here above of it, near the Eustachian canal. Okay, Eustachian canal means a canal which is connecting the pharynx. Pharynx means this region, the end of the oral cavity. Okay, the Eustachian canal is connecting this pharynx with the mid ear. Okay, middle ear. Okay, so at that point we are getting another kind of tonsil, and that kind of tonsil is called as what? This is called as tubal tonsil. And at the very top region, okay, and posteriorly, definitely it is present posteriorly, at the posterior region of the pharynx, or more specifically if I say the nasopharynx. Okay, so at the posterior region of the nasopharynx, we are getting another kind of tonsil over here, and that is known as adenoid tonsil. Okay, what it is? Adenoid tonsil. And together, these 4 kind of tonsils, okay, are making a ring-like structure that is known as Waldeyer's ring. Remember, this is very important, okay, for the exam. So Waldeyer's rings are made of 4 different kind of tonsils. First of all, lingual tonsil, then the palatine tonsil, then the tubal tonsil, and at the end, the adenoid tonsils. Okay, palatine tonsils, sometimes it get enlarged, okay, swollen up by the infection. Okay, and at that moment we feel where a disease appears, which is tonsillitis. Okay, clear? Like that, the adenoid tonsil also in many times in babies, it can be inflamed. Okay, it can be swollen up by the infection. Okay, and as because of that, breathing becomes quite difficult. Okay, because here it is present in the pharynx region or the tonsil region. Or at the nasopharynx region. Okay, through this region, the air is coming. Okay, air is coming from the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity, remember, it is present just above the palate. Okay, below the palate, oral cavity, above the palate, what? Nasal cavity. And from the nasal cavity, the air is coming in this way only. Now, if this one gets swollen over here, then it will be difficult to inhale the air. Okay, clear? So, because of the adenoid tonsil inflammation, the breathing difficulties can be appeared. Okay, clear? So this is about the Waldeyer's ring. So today about the structure of the oral cavity, means the teeth structure, the tongue structure, Waldeyer's rings, about all these things we have learned. Okay, one more thing we have to discuss over here, that is the salivary gland and its secretion. Okay, so we'll discuss about this and the rest portion of the digestive system and how the digestion is going on and absorption. All this we will do in the next lectures. Till then, thank you everyone. If you have any doubt, you know what you have to do. You have to just send us, you have to just send a mail to the given mail ID, okay, and then and there we'll try to send you the solution, okay. And thank you, bye.